Enabling student success, it requires to understand context for education, public, private sectors, technology that is changing automatically, but also at the same time to identify in education. Sometimes there's a challenge to identify that curriculum and then teach it for the new generations in cybersecurity. This is the Hacker's Corner. Welcome everybody, welcome back. My name is Servín. I'm a professor here at El Paso Community College. And as you know, we're hosting, this is the Hacker's Corner. So today we have a very special guest. We're very happy to have Stephen Miller. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephen.
My pleasure.
So Stephen Miller is Emeritus Professor from Eastern New Mexico University, Ruidoso. And he's also the director of the Peer Review National Center. And also he's part of the NCyTE leadership team, which is the National Cybersecurity Training Education National Center. I would like to thank you to be here with us. Thank you, Stephen.
My pleasure. I always enjoy coming to El Paso.
We all know you because you're a big name in the cybersecurity education. We owe you a lot of the whole work that is being done in the cybersecurity arena because you've been in this area for many, many years. But also you recognize what has been happening with different emerging technologies that is being infused in cybersecurity. And we're very lucky to have you here. Thank you so much for being here with us.
That's good. And maybe we'll talk about some of that. The new AI program of studies are being developed now by the CAE community and with Townsend University. So that's coming down the line. So we're always trying to stay ahead of the technology curve, if you might say. Sometimes that might be the bleeding edge, you might say. So it's not always the best thing, but it's to try to stay competitive, we have to stay in advance of all of this new technology.
Absolutely, 100%. And you mentioned the word CAE community, which stands for the Center of Academic of Excellence.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit more about this.
Okay, so the Center of Academic Excellence, it's a designation program that the National Security Agency developed back around actually around 1998 is when I think they started this program. It has 3 areas of designation. It has what they call CAE Cyber Defense. The Cyber Defense is a designation for community colleges, universities, and military institutes. And it's a rigorous designation requirement, both looking at their program of study, which would be their curriculum and how they have that in cyber. And then also the CAE portion is the actual, does the institution meet these 10 rigorous criteria to be a center of academic excellence in cybersecurity. So which UTEP, El Paso Community College are both part of that CAE-CD, as well as Eastern New Mexico University in Ruidoso. Then there's also the CAE Cyber Operations. So the cyber operations is more IT/OT designations. Mainly, it's restricted to only universities, and it's really the larger universities like UTSA, the Texas A&M University, the University of Alabama, Carnegie Mellon, those type of universities. And then we have what they call CAER, which is research. So some of these institutions are designated in all 3 areas. The program's been very successful. It really helps if a student graduates from a CAE school, it gives them some extra advantage as far as opportunities, especially in the federal government for jobs in the federal government. And our curriculums, like I say, are validated by peers, and that's where this I'm a director over the CAE Peer Review Center, and that peer review center, we have actually faculty members from the CAE community, which is over 485 institutions now that are CAE, either CAER, O, or CD. And out of those institutions, we have the faculty help review the applications for those CAE designations and validations. Then it goes on to the NSA, and the NSA does the final review to select to see if those institutions actually meet the criteria. So it's a really rigorous process, usually at least a year. And once you become a CAE school, then the real work starts, because part of the designation requirements is to be an active member of the CAE community. So there's requirements like different ones to help meet the criteria, like you being a peer reviewer, be a mentor, doing outreach, having dual credits or articulations with high schools, with other colleges and universities. So it's a lot of doing things like this, like these sessions for YouTube or a public network, that would count toward the criteria. It's outreach to the community, you might say. So it's a big deal. I'm really enthused about it, and we keep growing for the community. And I mentioned earlier, so what the latest thing is that the NSA funded a project with Townsend University to help look at, because there was a desire by the federal government to look at how we do AI in cybersecurity. So there was several people involved. They had 2 or 3 workshops, and from the CAE community, and these workshops had like 60 people in them, and from all these subject matter experts. And then they had a core team of AI cyber experts, and they developed 2 different program of studies. One's more of a technical program of study, and the other one is more of how to apply AI in your cybersecurity work in jobs. So, and those we're going to actually be doing in January, February, we're going to start doing a test with some of the universities that are going to be applying for that program of study. So it'll be just like any cyber program of study, only it's going to be have that AI influence in there.
We're very proud to have we just got redesignated. EPCC got redesignated recently. Also, that we received a grant from Microsoft in order to enhance capacity in cybersecurity and AI. So this kind of put it together, efforts like very similar to what you mentioned. I have the honor to serve as the point of contact for the cybersecurity center that we have here at the EPCC as part of the Hack the Border, our initial signature.
Right.
And we're doing great things because we're just bringing the community. Not only that, we are actually bringing the intelligence from the community. We identify the talent, and we also try to bring the workforce to see how can we put this together. And one of the things that you do, one of the many things that you do, is to deal with and you recognize the talent from different communities. Tell us the work that you do, especially with all this work that you have done with in the past, or we continually doing with the Native American communities, for example. Sure. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm working with Eastern New Mexico University in Ruidoso. We're a non-Native American serving institution. So we work really close with the Mescalero Apache Reservation, having dual credit programs, working with Nate Rayner, who's a science teacher there and real active in robotics and in drones. And so we incorporated some of the cyber into that. We have a dual credit cyber certificate program with Mescalero High School. So that's how we got started. We also work with the tribal council and looking at how we could do maybe a cyber range or something like that for the casinos, for example. Through a National Science Foundation grant, we were a co-PI with what was called CyberWatch West. That was a what they called a regional and resource center. And in order to become a national center, you have to have been a resource and a regional center funded by the National Science Foundation. And this is an ATE, which is geared toward community colleges, and that's a technical education. We became NCyTE about 3 years ago, or we're on our 4th year of a 5-year grant. So the National Cybersecurity Training and Education Center, part of our focus is diversity and around supporting and engaging the Native American population in the United States. And so we've done, we partnered and done some work with the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, helping to do outreach there. We have a partnership with both the NSF and with Microsoft to help develop a community of practice for Native American colleges and universities. And so we're actively working that. One of the things that we're happy to find out, one of the leaders in that area is from Turtle Mountain Community College, and so they were the first CAE school to be to Native American school to be a CAE. And so Chad Davis is the point of contact there, and he's kind of leading our effort for this community of practice area. So he's also working on his Ph.D. So it takes a while to get things moving for all of us.
I understand.
But so anyway, we also have worked with the Navajo reservations at Dene College in Saline and that area, which is actually the Navajo reservation stretches all the way from New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and Utah. So it's a huge, massive area. They have like 7, I think, campuses on the reservation, and then they have Navajo Tech as well. So we've recently been working with the CAE, with the NSA Program Management Office. They're doing some outreach to try to bring more HBU schools into CAE schools, and we have the same type of activity we're trying to develop for the Native American colleges and universities, so that not just Turtle Mountain, but we can bring others in for that to become CAE schools. When you have diversity, that brings in other types of thinking, different experiences. You can always, and cyber is not one of these individual things. Cybersecurity takes a team. And so having more diverse brains in this thing, you might say, different ways of thinking, different cultures, thinking about how we approach this. How does the enemy, what are they thinking?
Your adversarial.
Then that makes a big difference, and I think so. That's one of our values and one of the initiatives at the National Cybersecurity Training and Education Center. And we have other things. So we really focus on students, faculty, and industry at NCyTE. And we have several programs that we work with. It's not just one school that's part of NCyTE. So we work with several universities and community colleges. We have over 8,000 members of NCyTE. Wow. And so anybody can join NCyTE. It's free. And you can be a student, you can be an industry partner, you can be a faculty member, or your institution can join NCyTE. As far as students' activities, we actually provide stipends and whatnot for them to go to conferences if they want. We have special training opportunities for them. There's a program right now that, say you have a bachelor's degree and you want to get a master's degree in cybersecurity, you can actually, it's almost like the SFS have something called Scholarship for Service. Well, it's a similar type of activity that they can take these courses and then they can teach at a community college or a university, depending on what kind of requirements are at that school. And so they have to give back. So if they get a master's degree, then they're going to have to, give back that time at some school, probably a community college. If they get a Ph.D., then they have to give back whatever time it takes to get that Ph.D.
Now that you mentioned that, in the past we have seen work related with Dr. Christensen, right? Christine Christensen. During the Hack the Border, 3 fellows from NCyTE gave workshops to our students as part of the Hack the Border, the professional development. Beautiful workshops, highly articulated cyber defense workshops that have highly impact. we're using those workshops because students attend it and say, you know what, we learned this. And it turns out that is one of the tracks of Hack the Border. If you probably remember, we have this hackathon and we have competitions. Those information, those trainings help tremendously the students to go and participate and expose. In the past, we've been talking about NCyTE for different reasons, and one of the main reasons why we have you here is the industry nights.
Right.
We're very lucky to have industry nights, an affiliated event to Hack the Border, which as you can see right now in the screen, there's a big agenda, a beautiful agenda that we compile a couple of the industry partners in the region of El Paso, Las Cruces, even Ciudad Juarez, who are actually coming here and give a perspective in both the educational perspective and in the industry perspective. And when we talk about industry, we're not talking about just the workforce that we're here, like Maquiladora or the actually industry, but we have a public, private sector, both of them, but also we have Microsoft, for example, embedded to see how can these conversations can infuse your curricula and train the future generations of cybersecurity technicians. But not only, you mentioned AI, now it's happening cloud and quantum. I mean, I don't want to go too much about the list, but tell us a little bit more about the industry nights, which is the reason, one of the many reasons why you're here.
That's one of my areas too, working with NCyTE and before that with CyberWatch West. So we have what we call industry nights or industry events. We do those for different, we do 2 or 3 of those a year as part of our grant, where we're trying to bring industry, academia, and government together, and also bring the students into these industry nights so that they can hear what industry is saying they need for jobs, what kind of skills you need, what kind of competencies you might need, in some cases what kind of certificates you might need, how important are certificates. Those are some of the topics that come up in these different industry nights. We have a panel usually. That panel would have some of the industry subject matter experts there to talk about their hiring requirements, what they look at, maybe what they see in the future, so that the faculty that attend these industry nights can kind of get an idea what's coming down the line, so that maybe they can think about or make contacts. It's a great networking environment so that faculty, students can network with the industry partners, and not only for looking at curriculum requirements, but also what are the job requirements for those students. And it actually gives those students a contact. You know, the networking is really important. Sometimes it's not always what you know, it's who you know. And so if you're networking, that can make a big difference. I know this person at Microsoft. Oh, well, when I graduate, I can let them know that I've just got my degree. Is there any opportunities? So at least it opens up some doors for those students, I think. So the industry night's been very successful for those schools that we've provided those events for. Sometimes they're in the evening, sometimes they're during the day. We have another one scheduled coming up here at Texas A&M in their career day for their data analytics area. So that'll be the first university we've ever done. We've only geared this toward, but what we required was they invite the other community colleges in Texas that articulate to them to come to this industry event. So we really focus on ATE and the community colleges, although we work really close with universities. One thing I may have failed to mention is that, so you mentioned some of the NCyTE colleagues. So we have 4 co-PIs that are, so co-PIs are like, from the NSF, it's a program investigators, but they're like the project leaders. And so our lead project leader and program manager or director is Michelle Robertson. She's from Whatcom Community College, which is in Bellingham, Washington. Then we have Tony Colson. Tony's been with NCyTE, which where we started when all the regional, and he from the very beginning. So he's probably the one that has the most tenure with NCyTE and with CyberWatch West. He's with Cal State San Bernardino, so they're a university. So and he's also over the CAE community, and that is a huge operation, and it's funded by several different grants, NSA, I think, maybe NSF. But anyway, so we have Tony. So we pull from those expertise there. We have Kyle Jones from Sinclair Community College. He actually, Eastern New Mexico University used to be a co-PI until I was there until I retired. And so Kyle took over as the co-PI there with Sinclair, and then John Sands is with Marine Valley Community College. So we have all of those co-PIs, and then we also out of the 460 some universities and colleges that we have as members, we can pull from them, and high schools. A good example, we did a curriculum for the college board in computer science, and we worked with 7 high school teachers that teach computer science and incorporated cyber in their computer science college board curriculum. So, and that's available on our website. So we have a lot of curriculum on the website for NCyTE that faculty can use, and not only faculty at colleges and universities, but also at high schools. And so that's part of it. We also provide stipends to faculty for if they want to go to different, like the NICE conference, or if they want to go to a CAE, sometimes we have capabilities there. Other national science, like the National Science Foundation has a PI conference in DC that you can get a stipend for, and there's others available like that. The CAE, we also have a conference, our own conference, which is CIAD. That's Cybersecurity Across Disciplines.
I was going to mention CIAD, which is one of the, for me, I attended this year in 2024, and it's cybersecurity across the disciplines. Yeah. And I think that's something that everybody should pay attention, because there was from automobile technicians all the way to including business analytics. So it's a great venue to identify what is happening, not only the technical aspect, but how that technical aspect infuses into all these different areas. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. I found NCyTE a tremendous resource. And some of the faculty I know, the faculty at EPCC, we have been using those resources constantly, because we find new venues, new ideas, and everything. Just tell us a little bit more. I know there's so many things going on, but tell us a little bit more how this industry have impact, because you mentioned that you usually have 2 or more or less per year. At EPCC, we're pursuing something called credentials of value, or in the state of Texas, we call it that as part of the House Bill 8. And basically, we identify what the industry needs, and we're very lucky to have industry nights from NCyTE today at EPCC, and the whole purpose is to identify those credentials of value. What are the occupational skills awards, certificates, and everything is being based on the industry input. If I ask you, what are your top 3 credentials of value that you have seen through these venues in the state of Texas, what would those be?
So I would say we had an industry event at Houston Community College about 7 months ago, and what came out of that was the idea about different certifications, and the industry partners that were there, knowing that this was a community college, we talked about, does it make sense for someone to have a CISSP? Well, it does. Realistically, you can't be a CISSP unless you have 5 years experience. You can get an associate CISSP, but that really isn't what you need. That would be more for mid-level and senior level. For entry level is what we talked about. So we try to set expectations at the industry events. So this whole thing is about community college graduates, what kind of jobs are available for them. And so one of the One of the industry partners there said they value a CompTIA Security Plus. If you have that, or the CSA, the new CSA certification from CompTIA, those are very important for them to. If you have that, it gives you an upper hand in an interview, and in potentially, well, even getting an interview, but also potentially getting a job. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get the job, but it does help you as far as the possibility to get an interview, and then that helps. One of the key things from looking at credentials and whatnot, I kind of mentioned that the NCyTE program that we have for the Career Challenge, it's kind of like a capstone class. It's a 10-week program. Cal State San Bernardino, Dr. Vincent Nestler developed this program. What it is, it's a blank virtual environment, and this is a very good capstone because it makes students learn not only the technical skills and show their technical skills and competency, but also their what you say soft skills and business skills. They have to create a company. They have to come up with a project schedule, and then they have a team of 4 students that are in their last year, and they've gone through all the curriculum for the most part. So they have to set up the infrastructure for that company on this virtual environment. They have to protect that environment, and then they have to come up with a website for that business and the products that you want to sell in that business.
Beautiful.
And then Dr. Nestler has a ethical hacking class, and on week 9, the students have to have everything up and running by week 9. And so it's about 160 hours worth of work. This is not a simple thing, and it's a team effort. So some people are doing the network, somebody's doing the website, somebody's the project manager. So they take all this, and they get attacked by this ethical hacking. At the same time, they have another set of students from Cal State San Bernardino that act like customers. So they're ordering, and then they're complaining about their products. So they get overwhelmed with this.
Sure.
But it's a learning experience.
Absolutely.
That you can never. So those type of things mean a lot, and they get a certificate from that.
That's
and
amazing.
That's been very successful in helping students get entry-level jobs. The other thing is to set expectations. So
that's amazing. And those, I think what you just mentioned, it just not only covers the experiential learning, but also the real world industry thing. And you mentioned soft skills, which is something that most of us, we're trying to improve. We don't call it soft skills, and we call it essential skill or marketable skills. I have heard even professional dispositions, and that's a great venue. Of course, this time is never enough to talk about this things, but I want to thank you for joining us, and we're very, very lucky to have you here at EPCC as part of the Hackers Corner.
Well,
thank you
for the invitation.
And I want to thank everybody who watches, and of course give us your feedback at EPCC TV at the Hackers Corner. I want to thank everybody. Also, I want to thank everybody who has been sending us email in the comments and feedback, because that really means a lot to us. My name is Servín. It was a great seeing you. I'll see you next time. Happy coding, everyone.